The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Daily Hour, brought to you by Linda's Medical Health and One Communications.
All right, so not sure what happened there, but it's Monday, the 15th day of March, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Carla Zool. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share the link. If you're on Facebook, start a watch party. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. If you're watching on Channel 82 or listening on the Full 100 radio station, call someone and let them know we're on. Just get the conversation out there to your network, and don't forget to like and engage with us. It's the third Monday of the month, so that means pretty much our friends from the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation are in the house. We have Erica Smith and Richard Augustus here to discuss the new gig economy. The daily play is, Carla's guessing who the author of a famous quote is, and she's going to get it right. She's going to get it right.
Oh, wait, what type of weekend you had? You said I'm going to get it right. You must have had a really good weekend.
It was okay. It was okay.
You're being nice.
I mean, I'm just trying something new, thinking that if I speak good things, speak positivity into things, then positive and good things will happen. And in this case, that would mean you getting the answer right for once in your life. How's that work?
What are we going to do with him, people?
So you didn't have to change your clock, right?
No.
Oh,
I don't even know when we spring forward, but it wasn't this weekend.
yeah, it's usually 2 weeks after the West. But yeah, I saw people saying they want that hour back that they've lost. And for me, it just made me go sleep later. And because I went sleep later, I was stuck watching the Grammy Awards. Didn't even realize those things still came on. But apparently, Beyonce, yeah, her, yeah, that person. Apparently, she became the all-time winner for winning 28 Grammys last night. So apparently, she's just like the icon in the industry, I guess. I don't know. Is the Grammys still like the place where you judge people's careers or something based on how many awards they win?
Them and American Music Awards, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not Soul Train Awards or BET Awards, it's the Grammys.
Depends on who you ask. BT and Soul Train are for melanated people, the
Oh,
other are more mainstream. But I saw an article where people were making this big deal about how she was dressed, like how she was just such a boss, but she's always a boss to me. But I have one question. I don't know if you know the answer. So Jay-Z is a billionaire. Why does his hair look like that?
really? That's where you're going? We're judging
Well,
people for hair?
yes. No, not off. It's just, I don't know. That one dread just bothers me. The one
Oh,
that sticks off to the left.
no, it's not impacting my life anyway. Um, Nas got his first Grammy, it looks like, but who knew Nas didn't have a Grammy? That's crazy. It's weird to me with these award shows. It's because it's like, did they give him that Grammy to satisfy something from long ago, or did he actually have good music? I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard anything from Nas in quite a long time. Or was it this? Did someone steal his name, Lil Nas or something? I don't know.
Lil Nas X. He said that Nas was his inspiration. But Beyonce and Jay-Z's daughter, Blue Ivy, became a Grammy Award winner last night, apparently, for a song, Brown Skin Girls, or poem. I don't
Yes,
even know.
second youngest Grammy winner in the history. At 9 years old, is she? Yeah. But speaking of Beyonce and Jay-Z's daughter, I thought they had other children. What?
They do. Twins, a boy and a girl. Rumi and I can't remember the other one.
Oh, so they do have names. Because I'm like, I thought, oh, you see Blue Ivy, you hear Blue Ivy, but where's the other ones? I mean, they keep them under wraps. Has anyone ever seen them?
When they were little, I remember they were on vacation. But I think that's good. Let them live in privacy. So,
well, speaking of living in privacy, you see what happened with Kirk Franklin yesterday?
yes, and he's human. He dropped some F-bombs. So what? I don't know. I just, for those who don't know, he has a 33-year-old son. They must have been having an argument on the phone, and the son recorded it.
Repeat that age.
33.
Okay.
And
so he cussed out his 33-year-old son.
Yeah, quite prolifically too, I must say it. But yeah, and people and the boy leaked it. I'm just like, who does that? But anyway, and
So
I saw nothing wrong with it.
What was the argument about, if you don't mind?
I don't know. I only saw the leaked video, and then I saw the Kirk Franklin's. I wouldn't even say I liked what he said. His just saying like things happened. He was disrespectful, and I did say those things. And he did say though that a family therapy was involved, a therapist was involved in the conversation, but the son didn't leak that part. So clearly they're having, and he said they had a beef for a minute. So
here's the question, because Carla made this comment today and last week about nothing being sacred, right? And I think we got proof of this on a daily basis. But Kirk Franklin, known as they called him a choir director. Like I was like, whoa, he's not an artist, but they referred to him as a choir director on a few articles I read yesterday. But there are people that are jumping to his defense, and I agree with Carla on this, like rightfully so. That I mean, if you sit around here believing that your pastor or your favorite gospel singer or Christian brethren and sistren do not curse and are these perfect beings, then I have a unicorn to sell you. I do. Like, look, I don't put nothing past anyone. So when people around here shop, like, and let's be honest, Kirk Franklin cursing, this is the same dude that admitted he had a porn problem. No judgment.
I was gonna say.
No judgment. I'm just simply saying that, I mean, we need to manage our expectations when dealing with other human beings. Like, I don't think that Kirk Franklin should be criticized for cussing out his grown son in private. In private. Like, I saw some people jumping, oh, you should never speak to your children that way. His son's 33. This is a man. This is no toddler. This is no child. This is no teenager. This is a grown man.
And he seemed antagonistic too, because when he told him that he was going to snap his neck, he was like, sorry, but he was like, come do it. Like, you could tell it was antagonistic. It's not like, I didn't get from that clip that like Kirk Franklin was just bullying him, for example, or being an abusive parent. It was clear that it was in response to something,
but even more, I think even more, getting back to your issue about it being sacred. Okay, this happened. So what is the end result? Like how does a grown man and his father, how do they recover? It's one thing to recover from being cussed out by your father, but then you go and make it public to the world to expose him on some other level. Like, how are you to be trusted at the family gathering?
I don't know if this is something they can bounce back from because he's 33. Like, he's a grown man. He made a conscious decision to do that. And for me, like, I have a teenager, a 20 and a 14-year-old. If one of them did that, you kind of can chalk it up to immaturity or whatever and try to work through it. But 33, I don't think there's much coming back for that. I wouldn't say he's not getting or he wouldn't forgive him, but you keep him at bay because you
Yeah.
just don't do that.
What are your thoughts, audience? Let us know. What are your thoughts on the incident between Kirk Franklin and his son? Basically, Kirk Franklin used some not so gospelly lyrics in speaking
Is
with
that a word?
yeah, we just created one. So not he used some lyrics that won't be featured in any of his upcoming albums to his grown son. What are your thoughts? Like, it was in private, it wasn't in public. Does he deserve the criticism, or should his 33-year-old son be a man and keep things like that private between him and his father? Well, we got one pastor that's not laying claim to this cussing thing. Dr. Maria Seaman says this pastor does not curse, and she also says, I am not perfect. And those are two things. And let me reiterate, I'm not saying that all pastors purposely do bad things, or all church people purposely do what they consider bad things. What I'm simply saying is that we cannot simply continue to be surprised if some things, that we do naturally in our private space, we find out that another human being is doing them. Yes, I get that we hold people to different accounts and on certain levels, but I'm not quite sure it's fair. Especially, we don't know the true background with this situation. We don't. Go ahead, Carla.
He being the son, he looked like he was determined to cause problems because he was recording. It's like he had two devices, if you see the video. So it was like he had the phone and he was recording. So he had full intent of being ill-willed,
Like a setup. Dr. Seaman says Mr. Franklin has missed the mark as a public role model. He needs to ask God and clean up his weaknesses. Poor role model. But okay, let's go to the role model conversation. This happened in private, right? And at the end of the day, it was Charles Barkley in the 90s. And I can't stand Charles Barkley to this day. But if there's one thing I really always appreciated about him, is that he would always say, I am not your child's role model. It's your job to be your child's role model. That said, if Kirk Franklin is doing this in his private, we don't know what all role models are doing in their private time. We don't know. So how is he messing up or missing the mark as a role model? To me, he's human. We cannot say that people who are supposedly role models put on this pedestal by society are perfect beings behind the scenes.
With love, Pastor, that just annoyed me because let's be for real. Like, how many people sit up in church and they're cheaters, or they neglect the families, or they steal, or what have you? Like, it's his human.
Humans mess up. They make mistakes. It's what we do, right? Day on next Friday said players mess up too. It's real. Like we cannot keep putting people on this pedestal. Nikki, Michelle, Carla.
We create idols out of people and then we want to cancel folk. It makes no sense. But also, parenting with an iron fist only ensures that trauma impacted young boys will become 33-year-olds who will leak your private family tapes.
Now let's just go in there. This comment right here is everything by Nikki. What happened? Again, we don't know the background, as I stated 2 minutes ago. We don't know what led to this, right? There could be some deep trauma. And when that's not addressed, and let's just be honest, we've had people who've shared statistics in Black families, right, are a bit worse off than others according to what we're given, right? We don't seek therapy, right? We're traditionally, that's not what we do. And so, is this some sort of trauma that's carried over from childhood to the point where, you know what? I don't respect this dude like that. Let me leak. I don't respect our situation, our relationship.
It was something that Kirk Franklin said that actually made me think about that, because he said, well, some of you don't know, I have a 33-year-old son. And so to me, I was like, was this a child that was clearly from another relationship, but he felt like his daddy didn't put in his time, or he ignored him, or what have you? Because it was not weird, but it stood out to me that he had to announce that he had this son.
Interesting. I caught that. Dr. Seaman says what's done in the dark will be exposed in public. Well, that's been said and proven many times. Amanda Kelly says, I judge not, but I will say a grown man needs to go and live his life. Guess he just lost his inheritance. Might be a lot of issues going on. Judith R. Parson says, we all have weaknesses. Sadly, we judge those whose weaknesses differ from our own. Dr. Seaman says, yes, he is human, so ask for forgiveness from God. Deborah Leah Joel Bell says, that's between he and his God. Teresa Stewart Carla.
We literally all miss the mark. There is a scripture that states, all fall short of the glory of the Creator. This is a paraphrase.
And Dr. Seaman says, when all fall short as Bible Christians, we seek God for forgiveness. God forgives perfectly, though we are imperfect, e.g. King David. Charles H. Jeffers Carla.
I believe that we all fall short on a daily basis and need to seek forgiveness. I'm glad my stuff hasn't been put out on blast, and I hope and pray it never is.
Indeed. Shamari Tolbert says his vocabulary needs a revolution. Oh, that's a bomb right there. I knew someone was going to try something here, and I knew somebody was going to do it. Talent Carla.
He didn't break a law. He simply acted humanly, said bare words in a moment of heat during a private family matter, and we choose to judge him because of that. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a non-issue. At the end of the day, I think this is another. There's a few things in this. Definitely what Nikki said in reference to. There's obviously probably some trauma behind this. What led to this situation? You made a good point as she mentioned that, Carla, about the fact he had to mention that he had a 33-year-old son, as if maybe there wasn't a relationship all this time. There's people like 50 Cent who have issues with his son looks just like him, by the way. So we don't know the background, but it's one of those situations we never want to see. But I think we must be careful when we do see them in terms of how we judge these situations. That said, we do have Erika Smith and Richard Augustus coming up. The gig economy, folks. I'm going to enjoy this conversation because I love everything about this gig economy. We've had economist Craig Simmons on discussing something recently in regards to the economy, and he mentioned the gig economy. So this should be a good conversation. So if you haven't already, make sure you share, make sure you let people know that it's a conversation that Bermuda needs to be a part of. Why do I say Bermuda needs to be a part of it? Because as economist Craig Simmons said, it's the gig economy that can really get Bermuda out of its economic situation. So stick with us. Carla's up with the news break, and then we'll go to a commercial break, and then we'll come back with the Daily Focus conversation.
Over the weekend, the Ministry of Health's Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit identified a potential COVID-19 exposure at Delwood Middle School. After conducting a risk assessment, the ESU has concluded that with all precautions having been put in place on the campus, Delwood Middle School will reopen this morning, March 15th. Further, based on the risk assessment to the COVID-19 exposure, the Ministry of Health has been in direct contact with affected persons at the school. Only those persons contacted are required to quarantine for 14 days. The Chief Medical Officer, in accordance with the Public Health Act 1949 and the Public Health COVID Regulations 2020, has directed that those identified and contacted as close contacts by the Department of Health must be quarantined. The act of confession is ancient and can be traced back over 3,000 years to the Vedas, the oldest Hindu scriptures. It's a common thread throughout various world religions and their sacred texts, including Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This day is all about the practice of honesty, openness in relationships, and clearing the conscience of any negative emotions or thoughts. For some, it may even be about revealing their true self and finally being able to express it without feelings of shame or guilt. That's not for Kirk Franklin. Celebrate True Confessions Day by simply talking to people about your thoughts and emotions. If you are surrounded by loved ones who care and understand, then take the time to build your relationship with them by being honest and open. Turning to weather, the temperature in Bermuda is expected to reach a high of 60 today. Tampa, Florida will see a high of 82, and London, England, a high of 52. That's your Daily Hour news break.
No, Carla. You said it's what day?
Open Confessions Day.
I thought I heard that.
And I didn't even know we were going to talk about Kirk Franklin this morning, so that was so funny.
Man, look, fellas, if you have a porn addiction, if you're out there cussing your children, don't you admit that? Grandchildren, I mean. And finally, this Open Confession Day. If you're doing any type of adultery, don't do it.
It doesn't just apply to adultery.
I'm just
you can open up about anything.
Can I finish? Outside children, whatever it is, do not do it. Don't take Carla's advice. She is not a recommended therapist. Do not take that advice. You have heard it first. All right. I know some of you missed the disclaimer at the beginning of the show, but do not take her advice. There's confessions. Just say something like, "Oh, I don't eat French fries anymore." Something like that. Easy. Make it easy on yourself. All right. Look, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with our guest for the day. We're talking the gig economy. So stick with us.
Good day, Medical House Doris speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare.
Medical House is a great resource for Leroy. The service is excellent.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It has hundreds of styles of scrubs and nurses' uniforms for health professionals. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products. These same professional quality products are available to you for home health care.
The biggest reason to come see us is that we specialize in these areas and the education and knowledge that we provide.
Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there's private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
Welch's, producers of the world's best-known grape juice, have been based in Concord, Massachusetts since 1869. Distributed in Bermuda by John Barrett & Son, Welch's has become a household name. We're featuring Welch's 100% Concord grape and Niagara grape juices, distinctively delicious and heart-healthy, and ushering in bold new flavors. Welch's Super Berry Juice, combining the Concord grape with Aronia berries for tartness and mangosteen for sweetness, and Welch's White Grape Peach and flavor blend of white grape, pear, apple, and peach juices. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. Carla Zul, Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can also watch this and many other locally produced shows if you have One Communications cable. Apparently, I just thought of something about confessions, right? Because Charles, he's so rude. He writes, "True confession, I like pizza and meat." Cheese and meat on my pizza. There, I said it. So he's making fun of me, folks, because I don't eat either on my pizza. But that said, he makes a great point. If I were still on the market, right, and I was single, and I told somebody, like if I wrote in my dating profile, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't eat this, I don't eat that, I would probably have a hard time finding somebody, right? So I'm thinking that confessions, what woman wants a born? They would say, "Oh, his born."
They'll try to convert you. They'll be like, "Look, that's what he's saying. However, I could get him to eat some meat on that pizza."
Is that the kind of lady you think I'd attract?
Yeah, because they were like, he needs some pookie in his life to spice up his boring life. Who eats bread and sauce?
My goodness, my goodness. Thankfully, we have guests to come in and take this conversation over because that's what happens when you watch too many movies like Coming to America too, folks. You get these kind of individuals talking to you in the morning. Let's bring in our guests for the day. Bermuda Economic Development Corporation's Erica Smith and Richard Augustus. We're talking about the gig economy. Welcome to the show, our friends.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You guys are so funny.
It's
Sorry,
great.
I'm trying to be serious.
That's awesome.
I'm not.
I'm awake.
I think Carla obviously thinks that's what I attract. So it's okay. It's okay.
I didn't say that.
I will say this. I will say this. She might be hitting you up around the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation soon because she's going to be starting her own comedy tour. I'm not sure how many people are going to show up to her shows, and she might have to invest in a fruit and vegetable stand. Yeah, I give Carla credit. She's getting better at this comedy game. It's better than her singing if you've watched this show. But thank you both for coming on this show, and always a pleasure to have the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation here. I love the fact that there's so many people at the BDC that are involved in doing so many things, and that there are so many conversations to have with the community. But that said, we've heard the term a lot lately. I believe one of our recent current guests, the economist Craig Simmons, actually mentioned that he believes that the gig economy is what can help Bermuda economically out of its current state. But for those who don't know like what it is, just speak to us a bit about what the gig economy is and what's its place.
Yeah, good morning. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, so the gig economy, also called the sharing economy, on-demand workforce, contingent workers, independent contractors, freelance workers. And so these are people that have do various jobs and tasks outside of a regular traditional 9 to 5. These are people that typically have multiple streams of income. They use technology to draw customers, seek customers, retain customers. Sometimes they deal with other people's products, not their own, whereby they just drive sales to another company. Blog writers, typically banner ads, and they get a commission based on click-throughs. They leverage social media. All the major players like Facebook and Instagram are very popular nowadays. Video. They create followers, and they found a way to monetize their network, basically. And these could be also non-traditional part-time workers. We have the food delivery persons, and especially with COVID-19 has really highlighted and like the great college lecturer said, we're going to have him as a guest, or we'll go through the guest list in a minute. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the gig economy is definitely a lifesaver for some, because believe it or not, the most important economy in the world is the one with your address on it, mm-hmm. right? You have to take care of your community and your household. And so people have to, especially in Bermuda, you have to have multiple streams of income. Sometimes a regular one job, one linear source of income is just not enough.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm so happy to have this conversation, because all of the things that I choose to follow continue to say that, and obviously some people will listen to this and say, well, you know, it's tough right now. I mean, the economy is tough to find one job, let alone two. But what I think you're expressing and saying this is that it's not about having one job and then having another. It's about, you know, using your skills and talents to find ways to make additional streams of income. So somebody mentioned in the comments earlier, Bitcoin man, and I'm sure like that's even something that is another way people have used technology to kind of make money on the side. And I say that, like, just speak to us about how technology has been a key driver in the gig economy.
Yeah, technology improves everything it touches, and so we're finding a definite shift in the market where even the big players are getting into digital currencies. Nation states are getting into digital currencies and more efficient ways of conducting business, record keeping, and the like. And so the blockchain is just an add-on to the internet that we know of today, where it's going to improve everything it touches, including currency and money and banking and trading even. We're going to have some fantastic people that use technology to increase their bottom line through investing and leveraging digital currencies. We're going to have some people, 2 people on the guest list that dabble in that space. I too do it myself. And so as a technologist, I appreciate that technology. Even our own premier and government are pushing the envelope. There's some initiatives going on right now in that space.
Now, the BEDC is having a seminar called Leveraging the Gig Economy. What led the organization to put this on, and what types of people should attend?
Yeah, you want me to take that, Richard?
Sure.
I mean, I think, as BDC, we try to stay relevant and have timely topics. It was just evident that that Bermuda is needing to be innovative and creative with regard to how we move forward and how we evolve our economy, how we diversify our economy, and how do we connect consumers to products and services in non-traditional ways. I think that we have seen, not just in Bermuda, but globally, that the future of work is not just about a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday job. People have talents. People can offer services, and people want to do that with some freedom and flexibility and connect to consumers in different ways. I also think that the days of people working in one job or for one employer has faded itself out, or is fading itself out. I think that people want to have a bit more freedom and flexibility. I think people want to feel passionate about the type of work they do, and I want to be have diversity with regard to how they provide that work, who they provide it to in one context, and so as we saw, this is a growing trend in Bermuda. I think that there are opportunities for innovativeness. And for people to be really creative about this sharing economy and this gig economy and how they can play a part. And so we just said we need to put it on and get the conversation started about how entrepreneurs can think about it, how people as employees can think about it, and how they can use their talents to get that in front of different types of consumers.
Now, you've said that Mr. Simmons, who teaches at the Bermuda College, is going to be one of the speakers, but who are some other speakers, and what types of topics will they be covering specifically?
Sure, I could go through that list. We have, besides Greg Simmons, who will be giving his overview, we have Fanon Caldon, the owner of Hook. They are a regional food delivery service operating on the East End, concentrating on the East End of the island. We have Mr. Carl Vincent, owner of Hook Drop It Delivery, an employer of gig workers. We have Katerina Rocha, owner of the Ella Group of Companies. We have Alan Smith, owner of Uniquely Yours. Corey Hippolyte, owner of Equilateral Studio, a freelance worker. And we have James Matthews, a co-owner of Everforward Digital. Now, just to concentrate on what they do, again, for Nun and Carl, they are employers of gig workers, obviously delivery food space. And it came at a crucial time with COVID. People were just calling and getting food delivered to their home. So they filled that gap. Katerina Rocha has several companies out under the Ella Group of Companies, a serial entrepreneur in her own right. But she too is what we call an affiliate marketer, where she markets services, financial services, and education services through another company. Alan Smith has, besides being a brick and mortar store owner in the Washington Lane, Uniquely Yours, she also is an affiliate marketer as well. And she has travel services that she's offering, a rideshare program. Imagine having a Uber type business where you in Bermuda, where we know we don't have Uber and Lyft, for example, but you could take part in the referral system, and you could have a fleet of drivers, let's say in the United States or in the UK, and when money moves, she captures a piece of that rideshare just by being a referrer. And that company that she's with are going to be doing some other things in the financial space. Corey Hippolyte, she's a graphic artist, and she does freelance graphic artwork in the health and wellness genre, typically. And she's going to talk about how the freelance work has helped her increase her bottom line. James Matthews, he's a digital entrepreneur. He's into digital assets and trading systems. He's going to talk more about the Everforward Digital Group. It's a conglomeration of young Bermudians and older Bermudians. I'm one of them, that deal with trading. I'm sure you guys seen the recent phenomenon with GameStop, with Wall Street bets. We talk about all of those things where there's a pooling of like-minded individual to trade in the market, and be a market maker and monetize that whole system. And so technology has, gathered people together to be a force, to take power away from, or to take some of the power and wealth from those who are at the top of the pinnacle. So anyway, that's just some of the people that we have on. It's going to be a lively discussion. And we're going to dive deep into this whole gig economy with these individuals.
So talking about lively discussion, what can attendees expect to take away from this seminar?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the core of it is just understanding a bit more about what the gig economy is and what it involves. I mean, even for ourselves at BEDC, we're a learning organization. And so, for us, we're learning what this is and then how we can ourselves shift to provide products and services that meet entrepreneurs and employers within this particular economy. So what it is, have some understanding of what other entrepreneurs and people are doing, business owners are doing in this space. Maybe, hopefully, people walk away catalyzed and energized to think about, well, what can I offer? I must have a skill or a passion or a hobby, something that can be translated into some financial benefit for themselves. And it's amazing because Bermudians have a lot of talent, right? And I feel like that talent tends to be suppressed by the traditional kind of construct that we all live in. And so I'm hoping that when people walk away from this webinar, they can see themselves within this economy in a way that benefits themselves and their family.
Indeed.
Sure.
We have some questions coming from the audience. Rosalind Famous asks, what is the difference between gig workers and independent consultants, or people who have been working as full-time independent contractors? Are lawyers considered gig workers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, this gig economy is actually pretty expensive, and covers a lot. But basically, the gig economy, if you deconstruct it, workers are typically broken down into two categories. One is the independent category, and the other is a contingent worker category. So independent are people who work independently. They can be considered truly their own boss, but it's only them, right? They probably don't have any employees, but it's them. They're doing the work and they control the whole atmosphere of their company or business. So they're independent contractor. And to a certain degree, lawyers can be if it's an individual lawyer. But once a lawyer starts to employ traditionally people, through a contract of employment with benefits and all of that, then they fall out of the gig economy. The other category is what we call contingent workers. And these are people who work for another company just like a regular employee, but they're bringing their product and services without the agreement of some type of job security, right? Or other traditional benefits. So they are contracting for a short period of time, or it could be longer, but they're not expecting otherwise than just being paid or compensated for that service. They're not expecting benefits that come with being a traditional employee. So, there are some gray lines. Some people have been freelancing way before this term of gig economy. And it's ever expanding, but it does speak to the future of work and how that will play out, not just in Bermuda, but globally, because workers are translating in other forms than just traditional employee-employer formats.
One of the things I was hoping you can actually elaborate on as well is, and I see this mistaken in Bermuda so often, the difference between being self-employed and being an entrepreneur, because there's actually a difference. Are you in a space where you can explain the difference to the audience?
Great line.
I think entrepreneur, I think well, I mean, there is a fine line, right? I think that to a certain degree, if you are self-employed, you are an entrepreneur, but entrepreneurs tend to take more risks, and also tend to lean towards this startup model of, fail fast, right? Pivot and then re-engage for other entrepreneurial endeavors. So I don't know. It might be two sides of the same coin. I don't know, Richard, if you have any thoughts about that.
Yeah, like I said, the line is a little blurred in that regard. How to really define the difference between an entrepreneur and self-employed person. But I think the entrepreneur, like a good example, real world example, is like Karina Rocha, for example, has multiple businesses under her umbrella of the Ella group of companies, and she is a real go-getter, and she's developed different but also related businesses, and she'll talk about these businesses, like Glamping on the Rock, which does glamorous picnics. She does a floaty on the rock, I think it's called, where she rents very large floaties that in a pool or for like a photo shoot and whatnot, and she has the pic booth, which is a photo booth for gigs and like receptions and such.
So you're saying it would probably be like someone who has multiple businesses, per se. Teresa Stewart writes, entrepreneurs work on their business, self-employed work in their business, literally one letter difference. Yeah, I've seen quite a few examples. Self-employed people are more likely to do the work, whereas entrepreneurs are more likely to have people working for them. It's I guess very thin lines in terms of how you look at it, but definitely there seems to be a difference. Dijon Simmons asks, can you elaborate on traditional constructs?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, and that's why we needed to have this webinar, and I'm sure we'll have more, right? Traditional constructs are basically the traditional employer-employee relationship where you hire people to work for your particular company in a traditional way. There is an employment contract. There are benefits that come as a result of that employee working for that employer. And it tends to be where that employee finds stability and comfort in just working for one employer for what could be a long period of time. But as we evolve as a world, we're finding that employees want to have different types of relationships with what could potentially be employers, or what can be platforms or systems that provide them comfort in work, but isn't in a traditional employer-employee model. I would say in Bermuda, we tend to have the majority of those relationships be a traditional employer-employee model. However, with this sharing economy and this gig economy, these technology platforms that are allowing individual people to make decisions about how they work, where they work, what type of work they do, and what relationship they want to have with people who own companies, or they themselves create businesses around that. I think we're seeing this evolution, and I think we're seeing it come down to technology. I don't think any nation would have been able to translate into this gig economy unless there was some type of technological advance that allowed them to do so.
Indeed. We going back to Rosalind Famous, who asked the question earlier about the difference between gig and workers and independent consultants. She went on to say, I asked about the definition because people need to be clear about the employment category they choose to be in, because it has fiscal and lifestyle implications. And Rosalind Famous goes on to say, and there are laws being drafted against the gig economy, in brackets PRO Act /AB5 in California. People be prepared for that. And that brings us to Bermuda. Are there laws? Because I know that the government was reviewing independent contract workers at one point. What laws do people need to be aware of?
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
rough one.
I mean, so on the 24th, we'll only have an hour and a half, but I think that there'll probably have to be follow-up webinars because it is important for people to understand the regulatory environment within Bermuda, and the Employment Act obviously has been revised to provide some additional constructs, framework that defines what an employer and an employee is. So it's important not to overlook that. But I think Bermuda, like the rest of the world, right? We're going to continue. We're an evolving nation. We're an evolving landscape, and I think it's important for us to have an evolved perspective of what a worker is. Now, I think that employee rights are important, right? We don't want to create a society where someone is disenfranchised or felt to be discriminated on or taken advantage of because they're an employee. However, we also need to be open enough to say that we can redefine what work is in the future, and how we interact and how we provide that work. And so there is a spectrum. And so where people feel comfortable in one spectrum in a traditional way, that is great. Where others feel comfortable in having some fluidity with regard to working and providing their knowledge, experience, and services, I think we have to be open to that. So we're just at the cusp of this. I would agree with Rosalind. There have been some debates, and the debate is around what defines work and what defines an employee, and how to continue to provide dignified rights for people who provide products and services in a way. And so we're obviously going to have those discussions as a country ourselves.
Richard, did you add anything to that?
Yeah, I think we need to recognize that the wheels of technology move fast, and the wheels of government and regulators move slow. And so we have to find that balance where our laws and regulations and such keep pace with upcoming trends, right? I think COVID has kind of put a microscope on things, right? And we have to, and it's very timely, this whole discussion. And I'm glad that we have the college lecturer, Craig, coming on to really talk about the economy and the implications of where we're headed. We're highly in debt. We see the job market shrinking. We see disenfranchisement with people have like doctor degrees and master's degrees and can't find a job in Bermuda.
It's interesting you mentioned that because when the pandemic first happened last year, I latched on to Paul Carrick Brunson, who is a well-known businessman in his own right. And he's from the US, but he was in the UK. And he had these twice a week sessions on social media for about an hour. And he actually stated, I don't remember the exact numbers, but he said within the next few years, you're going to see a great majority, like a large percentage of jobs become freelance. Wow. And it was interesting how he was telling people to prepare to do freelance because companies are going to be looking to shed and not have to pay into certain things. And, that's what we need to be preparing for. But that brings us to this final question that Craig Luby has. Isn't the gig economy exploitive in nature, i.e. abuses of health benefits in the case of Bermuda, where government census stats show a clear full-time employment imbalance of Bermudians versus imported workers? It can be said that Bermudians have had no choice but to engage in the gig economy.
Yeah, that's an excellent question or comment from Craig.
Yeah.
I think like any scenario or instance where there is the potential for there to be power held by a few over many, it can be seen as exploitive, but that's why we need to have these discussions, right? And people need to be quite aware of what it is and what role they can play and how to interact with it. I would say on the other hand, though, we've seen examples even from these business owners and entrepreneurs where I feel like where we've been told that the workers or the gig workers that are employed by them who are involved in some of the success of these businesses, they themselves feel empowered, right? They don't necessarily feel like they're being exploited. They feel like they've been given an opportunity to utilize some of the assets or the talents or the knowledge or the resources they have in order for them to control and make decisions about how much time they spend, how much they give in order to make money and pay for themselves. So I think there is a fine line. I think that this will continue to evolve. By no means have we seen the final end. But yes, we want to strike a balance between people being able to have the freedom to do what they want and also getting enough support to take care of the things that they need to live a healthy life, right? By having health insurance and access to that. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is an interesting time. Before we go, in 10 seconds or less, anything that you would like to tell people where they can sign up and be a part of this?
Richard?
Yeah, so we have a wonderful leveraging technology. Again, Facebook. We use a Facebook site. We have and our website, bedc.bm. You will find links to all of our seminars and courses. And you just click on the link and register for free. And we'll see you on the 24th. It should be a great discussion.
All right, Richard Augustus and Erica Smith from the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation. Thank you so much for the conversation. And this should be cool. Looking forward to hearing some good things about it.
Thank you, guys.
No problem. Have a great one.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.
All righty. Good conversation there. The gig economy, very popular conversation. We're going to take a quick break. Don't leave us. We have the daily play and the daily inspiration after these messages.
Hi, Bermuda. Now that we have covered the difference between internet and Wi-Fi and introduced you to our One Home Wi-Fi solution, we want to show you some of the amazing features it has to offer besides ensuring Wi-Fi coverage in and around your home. Our Eero devices are plug and play, making them super easy to install. They come with features to help you monitor the internet connections and speed tests from the palm of your hand, and health checks to let you know the status of your internet connection. Now, for the parents out there, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. With the Eero app, you can create profiles for each of your kids and pause their internet access no matter where you are. Kids not doing their homework? Or is it family dinner time? No problem. Just press pause. You can also say goodbye to that sticky note with a Wi-Fi password. Grant access to Wi-Fi for guests and visitors, or remove extra devices from your Wi-Fi connection. Check us out at One Today to sign up and gain full control of your internet experience.
Are you a startup business and need access to office space and resources to help your business get started or to grow? The Enterprise Bermuda Incubator is a free program that helps entrepreneurs like you get beyond the idea stage to get their businesses started. Successful applicants will spend 12 months in the program getting mentorship, office space, learning opportunities, one-on-one coaching, and more. To apply, log on to bedc.bm. This is a free program with limited availability, so don't delay. Apply today. We look forward to helping you build your business.
Do you want to introduce a new idea that would improve the health of your loved ones and friends? Has innovation been your focus to navigate this period of uncertainty? If so, the Bermuda Health Council has a solution for you. The Innovation Program. Apply for up to $200,000 to support new innovation projects or services. Initiatives must be implemented in Bermuda. Visit behec.bm/innovation-fund to get started today.
All right, welcome back to the big show. It's the Daily Hour. Carla Zhu, myself, Jamel Hartman. Thanks again to One Communications Lindos. Medical House, and our friends over there at Channel 82. If you enjoyed today's conversation on the gig economy, don't forget to, smash us a like, give us a response, let us know how you felt, like, love, even laugh at Carla, even though she wasn't singing today. Let us know what you thought. Some interesting comments coming in afterwards. And Nikki makes a great point here. She says, if there was a collective health insurance agreement set up by the BEDC, all self-employed people would be able to have access to insurance. I love that idea. It was something discussed between myself and someone just last week. So that is something I hope to see coming down the pipeline. Nikki also says, and way overdue, belief in small business is one thing, making it easy for them to do business is another. Bermuda does not make it easy for small businesses and yet claims to believe it is the most helpful track to improve our economy. And we are examples of that right here that you were looking at. Daily playtime. Carla, are you ready? I don't think I asked if she's ready because, well,
she's always ready.
Here we go. Quote, folks, help Carla out. One of the greatest things I fear is letting down my people. I wouldn't live with that type of conscience of letting down my people after they've been brutalized for so long. End quote. It's a woman.
Winnie Mandela.
You got it. Yeah, you a bomb there.
I got it for real?
Yeah, you got it for real. Winnie Mandela it is. Shucks, you're getting better at this game. Winnie Mandela is the author of this quote. One of the greatest things I fear is letting down my people. I wouldn't live with that type of conscience of letting down my people after they've been brutalized for so long. Well, we knew it couldn't be Oprah. We knew it couldn't be pretty much anyone.
Don't take away my joy. Just the bomb. Let me embrace the bomb.
I'm letting you enjoy it. I'm just saying to everyone out there that's probably guessing, if you read that, there aren't many.
It made sense. It only made sense.
Down like Winnie Mandela. She is not celebrated enough because of her willingness to be that courageous and defiant when it came to what she stood for. Carla, I'm sure you have some daily inspiration for us, right?
You know I do. The day you stop racing is the day you win the race. Bob Marley.
I mean, yeah, I think I won on Saturday. We were driving down a little expressway and these cars came across on one side and the other side and went past me. And well, I just felt like I won because I weren't risking getting a speeding ticket. I don't know.
Oh,
I made it to my destination safely. So I won.
That's all that matters. Just you was rushing to get some bread and sauce for your cheeseless, meatless pizza.
All right, Charles Jeffers' cousin. What did you think about today's episode?
I love it. I love that there are more people out there who are trying their best to pave their own ways and seminars like this will help them even further. So take advantage of the seminar, and it's global. I might try to sneak in there myself.
Yeah, I'm interested. I like who some of the speakers are going to be. I'm interested to see what kind of people are going to sign up and attend, and what they take from it. Those who do sign up. Nice to see Fanon doing his thing as well. He has the business hooked, and I like his business. It's focused on the eastern region of the island. So I'd be interested to see what he says. But the gig economy is big. I mean, it is huge. But there are companies that, will have people working full-time hours if they're not careful without the benefits. And so there are laws that I believe the government of Bermuda is putting in place to avoid such things. But I definitely will tell anyone, if you have an idea, if you have skills that you believe can make you extra money, get with it. Find a way to do it for yourself. And again, the difference there are thin lines, but there is a difference between self-employed and being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are CEOs pretty much. They have people working for them. They create opportunities for others. Self-employed, as Teresa said, you're working in the business. A good book to learn the difference and kind of understand. Entrepreneur is not just about having different streams of income. It's about knowing. I think what's our friend the Kia Wild Wings was probably the best story about how entrepreneurship can work and what the difference between entrepreneurship and being self-employed. But there's some good books to learn more. And if you're a business person, then you probably should read more. But that said, it's time to let you all go, ain't it? You ready to let them go, Carl?
No, but we got to do what we got to do. Bye.
All right. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Carla Zul. I'm Jamal Hartman. Make it a great day.